All right. So when we're talking about pen testing, no, uh, okay, we have already discussed that what happens in the entire section of your pen testing, correct? Uh, Things would be like, I would say before going ahead and talking about rest of the things, just regarding a pen testing, you can say, the very first step is that there will be a planning and scoping, guys. There will be what? There will be the entire planning and scoping. Okay, that is the first initial step of your, you can say, pen testing. Okay, we'll be jumping on information gathering and animation, but let's just quickly brush up the yesterday's topic. Okay, so in this one, as I was saying about pen testing, right? So the very first step over there is your planning and scoping. Okay, like various factors are there responsible in your planning and scoping. Like you have to check out for various things over there while you are creating a document and having that agreement with the, you can say, the organization for whom you will be doing the pen testing and all that part. So what have to be done, you have to first of all check what is the target audience. Is it small retailer or is it a multinational bank, right? So see, what happen is when you're testing different types of information systems, it will obviously affect the target audience composition, right? Like as in their hosts, their networks, their web servers, their applications, their databases, right? So you should know what does that business do or what are their objectives, isn't it? Right? So you need to know all these, properly, like all of these things, and then you need to properly plan the pen testing according to that, right? Like whether technical, non-technical people will be there, is a testing team internal or external, all that part. Budgeting will also be there. I would say budgeting is also always has been the factor, right? So budget is defined is required to complete a penetration test, which is determined by the scope and rules of the engagement over there. Like in short, when you talk about budgeting, it obviously plays very vital role here, like in terms of your pen testing, as it controls many factors in the pen test. Like if you have large budget or not, like if you have large budget, you can perform a more in-depth testing, right? You can increase the timeline of the testing, you can increase the scope, you can increase the resources, like more people will be involved, more technique tools will be involved, more technicality will be involved, all of that part, right? So budget is always there, correct? And so resource and requirements, you can say, because see, the goal of a pen test is to clearly define the parameters of the pen test engagement. Okay, like it will be determining what resources will be made available to the testing team and what requirements are expected from the testing team, which is defined in resource and requirement part. Okay, so you have to, like there's one thing which is confidentiality of findings in this thing. So which is to be considered when there is a listing of requirements. Like confidentiality of finding means that during the course of pen test, it is assumed that there is a pretty good possibility of sensitive information which can be uh, it can get discovered by the testing team, right? Correct. Like while testing, highly chances are there, like highly or pretty good chances, we can say, that some sensitive information can get leaked, chances are pretty good that some sensitive information may get discovered by the testing team, by me. So client is very likely to include this confidentiality, these provisions in their engagement plan. So this can help to ensure that information which was discovered during the pen testing, it is shared with the appropriate entities only. It should not be shared randomly with others. It should be shared with the appropriate entities. Those are reliable, you can say. So, like for example, if there is a pen tester and he did a SQL injection, like he found there is a SQL injection vulnerability in the company's public facing website, right? So then obviously organization will want that the pen tester to keep this information confidential so that they can minimize that risk, right? And moreover, you can say the requirements might also, you can say, will like they will set restrictions, like To which person or to which privileged person shall this pen tester inform these kind of issues and the vulnerabilities? Make sense? Like only IT manager, not any, standard employee. Whenever like you find these kind of a vulnerabilities, because they can be very uh, sensitive, and if you give these information to anyone, so it can be quite risky. Don't you think so? Right, various things are there, technical constraints are there, like that the things cannot be changed under any circumstance, you can say. Those are known as uh, constraints, you can say. Communication paths should be set, like pen testers, they should clearly define their communication part during the planning stages of the engagement. Like by defining communication path in advance, it provides the testers with an easy way to answer the requests of which are made for the information uh, by the organization's management system, right? So in short, you have to determine who do we communicate with about the test, what information will be communicated and when, and who is trusted agent, like if testing goes wrong, right? So all of these things are need to be set up, right? Rest of the things are like rules of engagement. I'm telling you so that you can have a better idea what things are in this pen testing. So there's a rules of engagement as well that goes by the name ROE. Okay. So you can say, this will be entire covering your timelines. This will be covering your locations, time restrictions, right? Or you can say transparency or testing boundaries. All of these things are defined over here in your rules of engagement. So this is to protect, the both the client and the penetration testers. So rules of engagement, they are meant to list out the specifics of your pen testing project so that you can ensure that the client and the professionals, they are working on a project which is known exactly, and which they know exactly what needs to be tested or what is being testing, right? So what is being testing, what when it is being testing, or you can say and how it is being tested. So all of these things should be informed, right? So timeline will be there at what time, like what timeline will be of the project as in this pen testing. So how long will the test be conducted? Will it be a week? Will it be a month? Will it be a year? Right? What task will be performed and how long will each be planned for? So these things are in your timelines, you can say. Locations, location, you can say the location of the test team. It is related to the organization, needs to be agreed upon. Like depend like many factors are here on which these things depends. Like how many locations an organization occupies, right? Where will the tester will be located? Will it be on site or will it be remote location, right? So whether or not, like remote installations are in different nations, so according to that different laws will be there, and the parties should agree and record the amount of the travel which is required to conduct a pen test. So location is one of part of your rules of engagement. Time restrictions. The time restriction says what it will be talking about days and the times your individuals their test can be performed. Like when you at what time of the day will you perform your pen testing? There'll be like are there certain times that you are not authorized to do the pen testing or not? Will the timing of the penetration testing be known by the organization defender or not? Will it be performed during peak or off peak hours or not? Like all of these things. Like what about like days of the week? Like do I have to do pen testing on weekend, or is there any off for me, or do I have to do pen testing for all the 7 days? And about holidays, all of these factors are included into your this time restrictions, you can say, right? And boundaries, you can say what will be tested, what should not be tested, what should not be touched. uh, are you can you do the social engineering attacks or not? Can you, what about the physical security? and how invasive this pen test can be. All of things are you know touched, you can say, in that particular section of your pen testing. So see, in pen testing, whatsoever we have discussed, it means that everything is pre-planned, right? Things are known. So I hope now you get a better picture that what is different from red team and pen testing. So you can say, like, if Sayam is doing the pen testing, and Sayam has a certain level of knowledge about, you can say, hacking and pen testing. So this will confirm what? This will confirm that, like when Sayam was doing the pen testing, okay, he found some vulnerabilities, let's say 5 vulnerabilities into your entire network or systems. And now with this, what will happen? I will be creating a report out of it. When I'm creating the report out of it, you'll be fixing those things, right? You fix up those things. Now with this, we are making sure that, okay, all the black hat hackers, for example, those who are on the same level of SIEM, uh, they will not be able to exploit your servers or your network, of which I have done the pen testing of. Because those who are of my levels, those attackers, those hackers, they won't be able to exploit it because of my level. If I'm doing the pen testing, I have pretty much good sound, knowledge of pen testing, you can say. So if I'm able to find only 5 vulnerabilities, which you fix up after that, then others will not be able to exploit it more. So those who are more advanced level, you can say, they might find it out or they might do some damage anyhow, right? But the ones who are of my level, they won't be able to do it. So red team exercises, they use various techniques like, including phishing and social engineering, which are aimed directly at your employees or their usernames and their passwords. And in addition to watering hole attacks and driven down, by downloads that target specific users and their PC using an internet browser or installing malware on a site visited by them, right? So you can say the exploitation, how they are done, like, these are the basic techniques which you are already aware about, right? Phishing, social engineering, attacks, you can say, right? So if you talk about these, like, with phishing, what I can do, uh, obviously information gathering will be initial phase for that as well, because information gathering, we have to gather information about a particular target. So if I got some emails out of it, if I get emails of Manushree, uh, Yogesh, Arshad, Harish, Pratik, and Femi, anyone else. So if I get their email IDs, I will try to do the phishing attack. I will send the malicious links, I will send the malicious attachment, right? Spoofing the mail name, and I will try to, convince them that, okay, this is the very legitimate email. And as soon as these people gonna click on the link or if they're gonna download the attachment, my malware is being downloaded or my malware is being transferred to their system, and then they're triggering it. And after that, rest of the thing is like, I'm getting the control of the entire system, right? So different these are some, basic techniques, you can say, like phishing and social engineering attacks, where we can get the controls of the employees. So at teaming, they do perform these, steps in order to get the control over the network or employee system, and later they can just, tell them regarding this as an awareness. So that's why a company, they do ask for social engineering awareness program, you know, telling you about phishing and all those social engineering attacks. This part of it, correct? Then we have red team operation attack approach. Okay, uh, they're planning to do the attack basically. Or they have what all approaches they have taken. So where steps are there? Okay, like in Lockheed Martin, you can say it starts with reconnaissance. Then it is your weaponization. Then third will be your delivery. Delivery will be there. Like it is similar to this point. Just a minute. Reconnaissance, weaponization, delivery, uh, exploitation, you can say, will be there after that. Installation was there after that. Correct. Is the, yeah. So these two combined, it will be known as, you can say, installation. Instead of 5 and 6, it was installation, then command and control, and then you can say uh, actions on objectives, exfiltrate and complete, you can say, or actions on objectives. So that was a Lockheed Martin cyber kill chain. I'll just explain this one, and that will be this, you can say similar part, so don't worry. Okay, let's talk about these approaches. Reconnaissance, the one which you have discussed so far, information gathering, correct? Okay, so these are the phases which you can see the threat act, your red team, in terms of red team, if you're talking about, they'll be taking these phases or these steps in order to achieve their objective, right? So reconnaissance, as you mentioned, it is of your information gathering, gathering information about the target. So we are gathering as much information about our target over in this point, like whatsoever we can get, because this will be helping us to do the attack, right? It will be just cutting down our load, you can say, and pain, and we will be trying to gather information about the target, and then we'll be performing the attack on our target. A better attack can be there, right? So information can gathering does what? It helps you to like information gathering. It helps you to gather some knowledge about the target through which you can take an advantage of, like of which you can take an advantage of, and you can successfully do your exploit and get inside to that particular system or a network. So for that reason, information gathering is there, or you can say your reconnaissance is there, which is also known as the very this crucial part of this entire thing, right? It is also known as a very crucial part. Okay. Now after reconnaissance, where we are gathering information about the target, we go for the weaponization. What do you think is weaponization? So weaponization, you can say, there's a word which says coupling the exploit with backdoor into deliverable payload. This is like general definition for that. In short, you can say in weaponization, what I will do, guys, you can say, I will be creating a malware. Okay, you can say I'll be creating a payload. I'll be creating a malware, which will be helping me to get a backdoor connection to the particular system. Okay, so I'll be, you can say, creating a malware which will be helping me to get the backdoor connection over there. And you can say I'll be creating a command and control server also. Command and control server through which I can control the other victim. Okay. And you can say I'll be crafting an email. I'll be craft an email also, you can say, the part of it. Make sense? Then we have exploitation. What will be happening in exploitation? Sorry, actual attack, yeah, exploitation. Perfect, yeah, yeah, correct, correct, guys. So can we say, like, if that our victim to whom we have sent our email, if we open that attachment, if our executable files get executed, right? Or you can say we are exploiting any well-known vulnerability of that particular system, we are doing the exploitation. Can you say that? Based on authorized access, different method. Yeah, so see, one thing, guys. Uh we'll show you the privilege escalation. Okay, can I show that? Okay, no worries. Privilege escalation you can understand in this way. Let's suppose when you talk about your Windows, okay, we have users, like one was an administrator, correct? Right? And if you remember yesterday when I showed you, there were two users. One was Sayyam with the name Sayyam, and one was with the name administrator. Remember when I was showing you that changing the password and all that part. So over here, being if you talk about administrator, administrator is the one which is having most of the privileges. Agree with that? If I got into a system, and when I got into that system, I am right, like Sayam. Like when you're escalating your privilege, it means privilege escalation means you're escalating your privileges. So when you're going from Sayam to administrator, am I escalating my privileges? Like from a normal user, I'm going to someone which is having most of the privileges, right? So it is exploiting the vulnerability and it is helping me to do the what? To escalate the privilege. So from a normal user, what I have become? I have become someone like, administrator. So can we say we have escalated our privileges? Now we can do whatever we want to do because, we'll be having all of the permissions over there. Does that make sense? Correct. Privilege escalation, just for your information, there are two types, guys. One is a vertical, one is a horizontal. Okay. Vertical is the one which I just talked, normal to administrator. Horizontal will be from one normal user to another normal user. Because in one system, many user can be there, right? Correct. And the, different user, they have different privileges. So from one normal to another, but not administrator. Or in Linux, if we talk about, we have root over there. Root user is equals to your administrator. Always remember that. Like if we talk about in comparison of that thing. Okay. So we have two types of privilege escalation. One is a vertical, one is a horizontal. Okay. Vertical is when from a normal user you are becoming something like, uh, from normal to the administrator to the root user. Horizontal will be from normal to another normal user. Okay. Lateral movement is also there. Lateral movement means when you're getting deep inside into that particular network. Okay. Like after getting the initial access, you move deeper into the network in search of any, you can say, crucial information. Okay. That will be known as a lateral movement. Like if you're going to search for any sensitive data or any other, you know, information of higher value, that part. When getting deep inside that network. Okay. Lateral movement, like if you want to learn about them, you can just always search for like, pass the hash attack is there. Always learn about it. It will give you an, pretty good idea. It's like an example of it. Pass the hash, pass the ticket, all of that. And then command and control, pretty much obvious. Like, what will happen now? You can say like, in this step, which step is what they have mentioned. Command and control means what? It means that you are making a connection back to your server. Okay. You're trying to make a connection back with your server. And now what will happen? You'll be able to control the entire system. And then, you can just take out the data, exfiltrate the information whichever you want to, which you have targeted, right? So in command and control, you can say a two-way communication will be started over there, and you'll be obtaining those. You can say, whatever information there are, you'll be, you know, after control, you'll be exploring the system and exfiltrate and complete. You can say, all those valuable information which you want to, you'll be just taking out from that particular system. That will be known as your exfiltrate and complete. DOS, if I be more specific, DRDOS, distributed reflected denial of service. So here, like let's suppose there is an attacker. Okay, this is your attacker, and this is my primary target. Okay, primary target, and these are your victims. V1, V2, and V3. Okay, these are your victims, for example. So what I will do, first of all, I will try to attack these victims and control them. And now through these victims, what I will do, I will attack my primary target. Make sense? I will first of all command and control these victims, and then from these victims I will do the I will target my primary target. So tell me one thing. For this primary target, who is doing the attack? So victims are doing the attack. So victims are being what? They are commanded and controlled. So similarly, in this one, we can say, command and control. A connection back to my command and control server is made through which I'll be able to control the victims system, and then I can do whatever I want to do. Exfiltration, you can say exfiltrate and complete. Basically, over here, I'll be gathering the valuable information out of that system, and I'll be sending it back to me. That will be the exfiltrate and complete. Then we have what is information gathering. Okay, as you guys mentioned, information gathering means what? When I'm collecting information about my target, doesn't it? When I'm gathering information about my target, you answered for that. Pretty much fine. So footprinting, various names are there. Okay, reconnaissance, footprinting, and information gathering. So it is the first step of any attack on information systems in which the attacker collects information about the target network to identify the various ways to intrude into the system, right? Here I will be gathering information about my target network, and I'll be identifying the various ways so that I can get inside to the particular system. So here I'm not doing the attack at this point of time. I am not doing any attack. I'm just gathering the information about my target. It can be person, it can be organization, whatsoever it is. So that at least I can, just break it down into small pieces, and then I can just strategize accordingly, you can say, right? Because if I'm getting any information about my target, obviously I will be specializing, or you can say, you know, planning according to those things and how to do the attack or how to, exploit the things. That's why it has said that information gathering, it is a very crucial part. Okay. So why do we do that information gathering? You can say, like, like why, in short, what is doing what? It is you're narrowing down the information of the target, right? We are narrowing down the information. So what I'm trying to say is, let's say if I say like, go hack the go hack this person's system. So will you be able to hack it with just a name? If I say go hack Manusi's system, will you be able to do that? Or go hack InfoSec train, will you be able to do that with just a name? No, right? We cannot do that. So we have to gather information about the target, correct? So with just a name, you can say it's a big world to find that specific person on that target. You are at this layer, you can say the outer layer. So obviously you have to do what? You have to cut it down. You have to narrow down a bit by getting a bit more information about the target, like his places, country, city where they're living, all of that part. And then you can see you get more and more closer to your target. You get specific information about the target, which will help you to, uh, you know, uh, you can say like getting most crucial information of your target, right? Which will be helping you to gain the most crucial information about the target. So you're getting one more step closer. And finally, you reach out to this point where you get something valuable, right? Like for example, if I say IP of that particular system, that part, right? So now after that, like we can easily do the further parts, and we can specialize our attacks according to that thing. So we narrow down all the details to get a specific information, which will help us to compromise the system, we can say, or say help us to do the hacking part. Information, they can be of any type: operating system details, IPs, MACs, employees, phone numbers, email IDs, their geolocations, DNS, whatsoever it is. So, you know, you're just gathering information about the target. There are ways: passive is there, active information gathering, you can say. Passive footprinting, active footprintings are there. Correct. So this was very small example. What if I say, if you're working in an organization, you're working on a project, you create a lot of documents, right? Paper documents are there, or you print the documents, you plan according to that documents, you have plans written over there, but various lot of informations are there in the documents. So if you are throwing those documents like making a ball out of it and throwing it in a trash can, it can be very dangerous because we have, first of all, insider threats. Insider threats mean what? It means the ones, those who are authorized, and those who are pretty much, you can say, a threat to the organization. For example, you being an employee, if a disgruntled employee, I would say, for example, if you're not happy with the organization, if your manager is not doing your appraisal, or you had a fight, or very, very, very bad kind of a scenario, and you want to take revenge, okay? So obviously, you will try to do some damage to the organization, right? And this can be a very good way to do that. Like if any other person who is throwing their documents like this, what you can do, you can, take that paper out of the trash can and you can get a lot of information out of it. Correct? So that is why it has always been suggested that in organization there is a shredding machine. So put your document inside the shredding machine. It will be, shredding it down into small, small pieces. You can say it will be shredding down into small, small pieces, and then uh, you can just throw it into the dustbin or in a trash because it won't be, possible for any attacker to get information out of it. That will be a dumpster diving. Clear with this? Perfect. Great. That's a dumpster diving. Sure, that can be also help you to gather information, right? That's what I said. Shoulder surfing. What is shoulder surfing? Correct. So when you are having a direct observation into someone's screen, that will be known as shoulder surfing. Let's suppose there is a person who is working on their system, right? And you are standing just behind them, right? You being an attacker or hacker, when you're having a direct observation into their screen and getting information out of it, that will be known as a shoulder surfing. Common example, ATM lines, right? When someone is standing behind you, they just look into your screen and what all pins you're writing, what how much transaction you're doing, and they can see that. That will be known as the shoulder surfing. This is also one way to gather information. So tailgating is whenever you're getting access to the unauthorized area. So when you're following them, so you might have seen in your metros as well. So when someone opens the door and you just follow them, and that person is not knowing that someone from behind is also entering along with them. So that will be known as a tailgating. Piggybacking is all, in piggybacking, what will happen? Another person will be opening the door for you. So you can say a concern is a key thing over here. Okay, in tailgating, what happens? Someone open the door and he's entering into the area, and you are just following them, and that person does not know that someone from behind is also getting inside, and by this tactics. In piggybacking, I can say like, okay, like Manushri, please open the door for me. I have really this important meeting, or I have a very big presentation today, and I really need to get inside because otherwise we will lose this deal. So we people being very, uh, helping in nature, we open the door for them, and then he'll be getting inside that particular restricted area. So in piggybacking, concern is there, whereas in a tailgating, concerns are not there. Perfect. Honey trap is also there. Honey trap means, guys, in this one, you will be like, you can say on the internet or so. Okay. You'll be doing what? You will become like an, very attractive person, and you will try to create a relationship with your target. Okay. So you pretend to be an attractive person. Okay. And then you begin basically a fake relationship. You can say online can be the good one part. So you created a fake online relationship with your target so that you can obtain some confidential information about the target company if it's there, or any that about the target as well. Like in James Bond movie, you might have seen this a lot, correct? Those agents playing a role of a honey trap. And let's look up to get more into Kali. We have a lot of things over there. Uh, right. Okay. Uh, the harvester, they can also gather information about particular target. The harvester is there. So these are few things through which you can gather information about the particular target. Okay. So OSINT is also the, yeah, they're correct. OSINT is also there. Okay. OSINT framework is also there, which can definitely help you to get information. Okay. So I would be that will be enough for the information gathering part, right? So Spokio and Snow.io. Okay, that will be another thing. Okay. Spokio, right? Let me just give you a sample of Spokio. It is specifically based out of a US, okay, for the US based one. So you will see it will start searching for them, okay, for that particular name. It's specifically based out of a US. They will be giving you the like, the full address, the relationship status, the location history, the month year they born, the email address, their phone number as well. Right? A lot of information can get in respect to that person. So you have to look out if you are able to find out that person here or not. So if you're lucky enough, if I won't say this is every time promising that that person information will be listed, but in case if you get it, you can just filter uh, by selecting the locations. So if you get it, like their name, by seeing the name, age 76, like that lived in this place related to this person. So if you are lucky enough, if you get that person, you find out that person over here, you can get these information about them as well. All you need to do is you need to unlock their profiles and you will get information about them, right? So as I mentioned, this is very specific to USA base. So if you're lucky enough, you'll get those results. Similarly, we have PIPL also, but it is also paid. So PIPL, this is also paid. So they can also get you the information about your target. Okay. So this is Spokio SG track is also there, which can copy the entire website for you. They can mirror the entire website for you in your local machine. That is one way, right? On the respect to this domain, @infosectrain.com. Like, for example, there'll be sales@infosectrain.com, sayam@infosectrain.com, like this.